My mom is a pastor and gives so much that sometimes we don't have enough for ourselves at home. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Don't Go Broke Trying. I am your host, Reni. Today, we have our Coinfessions episode. Okay, these Coinfessions episodes are our fun, lighthearted episodes where we answer the questions that you have submitted. If you don't know me again, my name is Reni, and I make content about financial literacy on my YouTube channel, this podcast, on my Instagram, all the platforms. So follow me on all of them. I'll leave them in the description box below. But also, you can watch this podcast on YouTube, and I would really appreciate if you headed over there if you want to see my beautiful face. Okay. So today, as I said, we are going to be doing our Coinfessions episode, and we're going to be talking about how to not go broke trying to serve God. This is a little bit of a controversial, different topic from my typical topics, but I think it is a great topic. And I actually just had a great conversation with Pastor Bibi, and guys, you're going to learn a lot from there, especially if you're a Christian. I think you should definitely check out that episode. So scroll in your podcast feed if you haven't listened to it and go listen to the episode posted right before this. I think you will learn a lot. But yes, today, of course, because I know a bit about this topic, but obviously not everything, I have a very special guest, and that is Pastor Bibi. Hi, Pastor Bibi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm very grateful that you are here. Do you want to introduce yourself to the people them?
For sure. Hi, I'm Bibi. I'm a co-pastor of the Standpoint Church Canada, a church in Oakville, Ontario, that I pastor with my husband. And professionally, I work as as a fundraiser for a charity that provides microloans to newly skilled immigrants and refugees trying to get back into their chosen profession in Canada. And thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. And if anyone is in the Oakville area or the Greater Toronto area, make sure that you check out Standpoint Church. And I will leave all of the contact information in the description box so that you can check it out. Because if you listen to the previous episode, I'm sure you're like, oh, Pastor Bibi is preaching. So if you like her preaching style or the way she speaks, or just seeing how insightful and knowledgeable she is, I would definitely recommend you check out her church. Okay, so are you ready for these Coinfessions?
Yes.
Yes, these are a lot of them were actually submitted by my audience, which I love. Usually we get a mix of Reddit and audience, but here today they're mostly from my audience. So I know the Nigerian community has a lot of really we're most of us, a lot of us are Christians, so we have a lot to talk about when it comes to this topic. And everyone, if you have Coinfessions that you want answered by one of my guests in a future episode or by me, just make sure you submit them by using the link in my show notes. It is basically an anonymous form that you submit, very easy, but give us all the details. Some people are giving very one word sentences, and I'm like, we can't really answer and help you based on this. So be detailed, get juicy. Okay, we love to hear from you, and we want to help you solve any money problems that you have. And just before we start, just a disclaimer, this is not financial advice. It is just us sharing from our personal experiences, but not financial advice. Okay, are you ready for first confession?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Reni, and hi, Bibi. Why do pastors heavily encourage, to the point where it feels like blackmail, students to give large sums of money as offering? I stopped attending a particular church in Mississauga because the pastors will encourage the mostly student congregation to give tithes and offerings starting at $1,000. As a student, I simply could not afford that and felt guilty that I was not a good Christian for not giving up my rent and feeding allowance. I ultimately left the church because the guilt was too much. It's been 5 years since, and I haven't been able to attend church religiously because of that terrible experience.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear about that. That's
Yeah.
such a sad experience. And I totally understand. Like tithe of upward of $1,000. Like if you're a working class person, that means you're earning like what 10,000,
Mm,
and like the average person isn't earning like 10,000 a month.
mm-mm.
So I'm sorry about that. I am a firm believer that I don't really believe that people that don't earn an income should be required to or persuaded to give.
Yeah.
And even the Bible is very clear about what giving should be. It said it has to be cheerful, without grumbling in your heart. If I have to drop out of my rent or my feeding money, I'm gonna be grumbling.
Extremely.
And God doesn't want that. So I'm sad that you had to go through that experience. And I'm with you, it's not right, it's not acceptable. I know that sometimes if you're a student, you probably work to try to like fend for yourself. And the honestly, the encouragement for students when it comes to like church giving is to give what you have. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if that's $1. And I think people do be sleeping on students, like churches do be sleeping on students.
Yeah.
Because students today would go into the workforce and that financial contribution would eventually come. But let me tell you what students will give to you now. They'll give their time, their energy, their efforts, their all.
Mhm.
And if you can catch someone at a young age and make them be committed to God at a young age, like the older they get, it only gets better. So I'm sorry that you went through that. And I want to encourage you to go back to finding a church, go back to finding a local church that the Spirit of God leads you to. Pray about it. God doesn't want you to be outside of the body, because when you're outside, you're vulnerable and you don't have like you're not seeing your back, you're not seeing all around you,
Yeah.
and that's really the design of a church, right? So go back to church, right? Don't let this little experience. Sorry, I don't want to call it little. That was different, but don't let this experience rob you of something beautiful that you can experience in church, right? God loves you so dearly, and He wants you to enjoy the sweet fellowship with brethren. He wants you to enjoy that. So go back to finding a local church that you can actively be a part of.
Yeah.
Like I said, giving has to be cheerful, no grumbling, and that experience was a sad one. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but it's not what it should have been. And yeah, find a local church that you're going to
Yeah.
be so happy to be a part of. And I know that God is able to heal you of that experience. Like
Mhm.
many times, it's very easy for us to feel like time heals wound, but honestly,
Not
time isn't
always.
God. God would
Yeah.
heal you faster than you think, and you'd be like, wow, I'm healed. How did that happen?
Yeah.
So just this thing that you just expressed, just lay it to God and let God know. I mean, He knows already, but that part of like letting Him know, like, this happened and this is how I feel, and I want you to heal me and make me whole and direct me to a right church that I can be a part of.
Yeah.
And God will help you. So
And I'll tell you that there are, I empathize with you, because it's like a kind of traumatizing experience, right?
yeah.
$1,000 as a, like, please, even in this, like, in this economy that the math is not mathing, even 5
No.
years ago, that doesn't make sense. So I would say that I empathize with you, and I hope, I wish you didn't take this experience and like apply it to every other church, because I want to let you know there's so many good churches out there, and ones that will not pressure you to even give anything, literally, and they shouldn't be pressure you to give at all.
No.
Yeah, it seems very predatory, guilt tripping. It's kind of emotionally abusive. Like, I don't like that, and
Yeah.
I understand. But as Bibi said, there are so many great churches out there, and I would encourage you to look for another one. Also, like, you can try out a lot of different churches and see which one resonates most with you, right? Because there are so many different types of church. Some people may like this type of church. Personally, I don't, and I don't think anyone should, but there is one that will fit you and align with your beliefs as well. So yeah, but I'm sorry to hear that you felt this way. It's not a great experience to go through at
Not
all.
at all.
What do you think about pastors even saying, like, we want your, like, giving a number to the amount of tithes that you should give, like saying, oh, it should start at $1,000? Is that normal?
No, that there's no precedent for that
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
Bible, right? Again, giving should be cheerful, should be out of the abundance of your heart, should be done without grumbling. So for giving to be all of that, that means there is no required speculation. The reason why people say like tithe most times is just for structure, right? 10, 15, 20% goes, but because I don't know your financial situation, right? If you have $20 in your bank account and I'm asking you to give one that, like, it's not
No,
adding up. So
at all.
there shouldn't necessarily be a certain amount of money demanded from the pulpit. Like, we didn't see anybody doing that in the Bible. It was always give, just give out of the abundance of your heart. Give what you want.
And when you do give like that, you can be cheerful when you.
You'll be so like there's sometimes you give and you're just like, especially when you don't understand, you just be so upset. Like, why did I give? Like, then you
Yeah.
know that, in fact, I'd rather you take your money back.
Yeah.
If you ever give and you're like so upset about it and you're thinking about it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like, go get your money. I want you to give and love giving.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the fundraiser side of me coming in as well, right? Even when we like approach like corporations or people to give to the cause, like, I want you to love, like, I want you to experience the joy of giving.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I don't want to
Not
bamboozle
begrudgingly
you.
giving. Yeah, we don't like
No,
that.
we don't.
Yeah. Okay. I hope that helped. Next Coinfession. My mom is a pastor and gives so much that sometimes we don't have enough for ourselves at home. It's very frustrating as I've always been told that your first ministry is your family. It makes me not want to give anything to the church ever. How should I talk to my mom about this?
That's a very interesting one.
Yeah. I've actually heard this happening quite a bit
Mm-hmm.
where like yeah, the church looks good, the like everything looks good, but at home for this pastor's family, it struggles. It's actually struggles. And yeah, so any thoughts on
It's
this?
funny because I just like how to flash forward to my future. Like,
Uh,
hopefully my children never feel this way.
Because even if we think about it, it's not just monetarily, but like just the time
Time and
that that
everything.
your parent may be spending at church. Yeah, like that's another thing. And
Yeah.
my pastor always told me that, like, yeah, my first ministry is my family, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I think many times many people don't get to learn that art of balancing and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that your family matters. And I have a friend, our mom, her dad is a pastor and her mom got sick. And from our perspective, it started looking like her mom was a burden and her mom was stopping her dad from doing the things of God. And it really hurt her because I'm like, this is your wife.
Yeah.
Like, of course, God sees and like understands. And I also see cases of like certain pastors, right, in the course of ministry, they're like gone for like 6 months and like your children don't see you,
Oh
your
yeah.
wife don't see you. Like, what is that? So I know there's a gentle art of like balancing these things, knowing that your children, your family know God through you. So if God has positioned himself to us as someone that is loving and compassionate and kind and mindful of us, we ought to mirror that to our children as well.
Yeah.
So I would not, like, if you had tried to have a conversation with her, like, it can go in different ways. So I first things first, pray about it. Like, I would encourage you to just like talk to God about it. And after talking to God about, in fact, you know, there's sometimes you can talk to God about something and God will talk to the
That
person you're
person.
praying about. So talk to God about it before you have a conversation about it. Because if you try to antagonize her, you can come across looking like the devil. Like, why are you trying to
Not the
stop me?
devil.
Why are you trying to stop me from giving more? Especially if that's the kind of generation she grew up
Yeah.
in. Because
Facts.
many times we tend to like underestimate the impact of where we grew up, our experiences, what we saw, and how that framed us as individuals.
That's true.
So it's very, just pray about it, try to talk to her about it and be like, Mom, this is the situation, this is how we feel. I wouldn't say there's a guarantee that to come out the way you want it to come out.
Nope.
Nope. There might not be a guarantee, but also pray for her. And again, don't let your mom's experience rob you of something beautiful, because the person is talking about how it impacts them and how they don't want to give to God at all, right? Because your mom might be on the extreme side of things, don't let her actions lead you to the other extreme. That's now
like that.
you also being extreme.
Yeah, no balance as well.
Yeah, you're becoming what you're fighting, but in a different angle. So it's also you to not learning balance from yourself. And something I always say to people is like, there are some things you can't change in your family, right, from your parents' point of view, but there are some things you can influence in yours, and you can start the change for your own generation and mirror it correctly for your children. And that means your children have like good patterns that they will emulate. Because you think about it, if you grow up, you're probably very young and like children are not in your mind or whatever, but if you grow up and then you're Christian, of course, and your children grow up and say, Mommy never gives to church, like, is that what you want to teach them?
Yeah, good
So
point.
don't become what you're fighting, right? Don't say because mommy gives too much, I'm not going to give anything. do your own
Balance.
part. Let there be balance. Pray for your mom. Have that conversation. Don't antagonize her. I'm a big person on being respectful
Mm-hmm.
to our parents, right? It's biblical to honor them, but there's nothing wrong in having that conversation and letting her see, because sometimes she might not even notice. She might have maybe that's kind of background she grew up in, and it was because there are many dysfunctional things that are normal to you because of the area you grew up in.
Yeah.
And then that takes someone else telling you like that's dysfunctional. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa,
Yeah.
that is dysfunctional. Like, and she would now like awaken to the reality. So honestly, pray for her above all. Talk to her about it. She may change, she may not change. That's really like it's not really up to you. It's just what it is. But
Unfortunately.
let the record have it that you spoke to her, you advised her, you taught her you can even help her with balancing. Maybe she doesn't have a budget. Maybe she doesn't have the way she runs her finances.
This is
Say,
true.
mommy, yeah, let me help you with budgeting. Let me help you. This will help with balance. I know you love God and you want to give to church, but there's a way we can be balanced about it, right? God wants us to live in good health and prosper and all these things, but we're suffering, and the impact of this suffering is that it's giving us. I mean, I don't like to say it, but it's making God look bad inadvertently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just having that conversation with her and like letting her know, like, I'm sorry, like, but yeah, don't become what you're fighting.
Yeah.
Very important.
I feel like you said it all. I don't really have much else to add to that. I do recognize that conversations that you have with your parents can be a little bit difficult and they just may not
Mm-mm.
listen.
No.
So I think, as you said, it's good. At least the record has shown that you have spoken to her. You've tried. If it works, that's another. You can't really control that, but I would say like pray about it before you start.
Yeah.
Ask God to speak to her if possible, so it makes it a little easier for you. There's even sometimes you can like get people who she trusts
Mm-hmm.
to, or she whose opinion she values, because
Yeah.
sometimes our parents don't really value our opinion. They're like, who's this child that's trying to
Yeah.
tell me
Small girl.
stuff? Yeah.
What do you
But
know?
if you can talk to your dad, maybe if your dad's in the picture,
Mm-hmm.
and well, he probably already knows, but like if you can bridge it to somebody who she really trusts their opinion, that could be a good way to
Yeah.
approach it.
That's a
Like
good idea.
if there is a senior pastor at the church who is higher than her, a co-pastor, somebody who she respects, again, maybe they can, and they don't even have to talk to her like and tag like criticizing her or anything like that. It can be more so they're just, so how do you they ask her the question, so how do you balance your pastoral duties with your family? And then that can bridge a conversation, right? They don't have to like say that you told them. They can
Mm-hmm.
just start talking
Honestly,
about
it
it.
can even be from the pulpit,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't have to be targeted.
Yeah.
Say, oh, like we are just maybe have a whole teaching series on like balancing, how to
Mm,
balance your family, balance your
I
ministry,
like it.
balance. It might even if it's not the pop, like because I think the
She's
person he or she said that the person is in ministry,
yeah.
so it might even be a pastoral session.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We have to be intentional about like balancing
Yeah.
everything. So who knows, right? I think that's such a bright
Yeah.
idea.
And I
Yeah.
think and I actually learned this from Blessing, who came on my podcast. She was talking to us about financial abuse. And I said, like, how would somebody tell their friend that, yo, I think you're being financially abused? Because if you say that, they're just gonna
Of
turn
course.
away. And she told me, tell them like, oh, I just listened to this cool podcast on this episode. Like, listen to this episode. And somebody actually did that. And now they've realized that they've been financially abused, and now they're in the process of therapy with their partner right now and trying to fix it. So it does work, but again, it's just approach that you come at these people
Yeah.
with, because if
Mm-hmm.
you come out someone guns blazing, they're
Nah.
gonna be on the defense, right?
Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Next Coinfession. This one is from Reddit and it's from r/ask Singapore. So this, I guess they're based in Singapore. Okay. How do I stop my old mother from giving tithe offerings to church? We don't have enough money at home, but my mother has been joining church programs and has been giving money to the church. What can I do to stop her to believe all the BS that church leaders have been doing to influence tithes to buy themselves luxury spending and cars, while the poor old woman keeps asking me for money to give the church? She's 64 and has gone to start working as a cleaner again just to join church programs to give tithes even more than before. It broke my heart, but I have distanced myself from her since. So, if I understand this correctly, this person is an adult as well, and their mother is 64 right now. They she's probably retired, but now she's gone back to work as a cleaner in order to give money to this new church that she has joined. And this person also has some maybe church hurt, and they're saying the pastors are spending money on luxury spending and cars and stuff like that. So so the question is, how do I stop my old mother from giving offerings to the church?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
You may never be able to stop her. And I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but it's the
Right?
reality,
Oh yeah, facts.
right? It seems like your mom has put like value on our church. It's a different thing if you've been to the church and you see the manner in which they ask for money.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I don't want us to approach it with judging and like they're like coercing and like forcing your mom to give.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if there isn't like none of like, I don't think this person has been to the church to know how that happens. So what if it's not coercive, it's not blackmailing, it's nothing, but your mom just really wants to give all that she
Yeah.
has. So it might just be a conversation of financial literacy. Like, mom,
She's 64 too.
you are on a fixed income.
And the mom's even asking this person for money.
She's gone back to work.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those. It sounds like your mom just really, the person's mom, like really just values the church, and they
Yeah.
might not be blackmailing her or coercing her, but she just really wants to give. But I think financial literacy will like play a role.
What if they are? What if? So we've seen it from that situation. But what if
Mhm.
they are like a truly like not good situation, like they're coercing and stuff like that? How would a child approach their parent about that?
It's similar to the previous question.
Yeah. Okay, that's
It's
true.
similar to the previous question in the sense that you have to find somebody that she listens to. She have like an older sibling or something that can like not antagonize her and speak to her and be like, you're on a fixed income. Like, I know that you love to give to God, but you have to like put some structure around this, right?
Mhm.
You're like you're past retirement age,
I
but you're
know.
going back to work.
Work.
Like, I guess it's even understanding the motive behind why the person is giving, right? Is she feeling like, oh, now that I'm getting older and I'm probably going to go to the grave soon, right? I have to make things right with God. And one of the ways I can make things right with God is by giving.
But
That's sad.
yeah, but yeah, learning to give. We've already spoke about this in
No.
the previous episode. Ain't it?
No, it's not. So, yeah, I think you should. The child might not really be able to get anything done because this person's like 64. Like, it's going to be hard. And it's just so, like, it's all around heartbreaking because now the person is saying they have to, like, they're distancing themselves from
I
their
know.
60-something-year-old mom.
I
Like, that is so
know.
heartbreaking.
I
But
know.
it's just together, the support and the help she needs. Like, get someone to talk to and be like,
Yeah.
Mom, you're on a fixed income. It's not advisable for you to be loaning to give, right? I know you love to give, and I don't. In fact, you have to make it clear to the mom.
I have no
I'm not
problem.
trying to stop you
Mhm.
from giving, but I just want you to put some structure
Around
to
it.
how you give.
Yeah.
Because when I have to loan you money, it takes out money from my XYZ life,
Yeah.
my family, my children, whatever. Like, I don't know what the person's situation is.
Yeah.
But get your parent, and if possible, get them to stop that job because this is
I
past
know.
retirement. Come on.
64 and now she's just going back to start yes, again, she's going back to start working
Just
as
to
a cleaner.
give.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Bless her heart,
I
honestly.
know, bless her heart, but sis, please, I beg. Like, I think it's very hard to have this conversation with your mom, and you can voice it's like this last dilemma.
Yeah.
You can voice your opinion, but at the end of the day, she will do what she wants to do.
She will do that.
Yeah, I know. It's unfortunate.
It is.
Let's read some of the comments that
Okay.
people had. Someone said she's at the age where she's starting to get worried about her eternal life.
See?
That's what you said.
Got it.
Yeah.
But it's not by money. It's not by how much you give.
Yeah, someone said, but I don't think you can buy your way into the eternal life.
Yeah. You cannot. You absolutely can't.
Another comment says, I'm sorry to read about this because I thought churches are supposed to help the needy too. And if your mom has to work as a cleaner just to give tithes, it does not make any sense. The reason why they turn to church may be to fill up their energy or time or an empty void in their hearts.
Yeah.
If you try to dissuade her from donating even more, I'm afraid it will only worsen your relationship with her. I'm not sure if this is an absurd idea, but is it possible to change churches? Maybe tough because she probably has some friends in the existing church. Catholic Church doesn't require compulsory tithes, and churchgoers can donate any amount they are comfortable with anonymously during service. Yeah. I think like this they raise a good point that a lot of people are just seeking
Community,
community.
and it's very lonely at that age.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of your even it's actually sad sometimes the older you get, like the more of your friends are starting to pass away. And yeah, it can be very lonely. People
Yeah.
may not live in the same place as you anymore. Uh but I don't think trying to get her to change churches will even work, to be honest, because
No,
she's clearly found something about this church that
that
she
she
really
likes.
likes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard.
it's hard.
It's
I feel so
hard.
sorry for the person.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think those are all the okay. Encourage her to go to a church that doesn't force its members to tithe. Most of the time, donating money to a church is purely optional and voluntary. You can tell her it doesn't make any sense for her to do that because why would God want her to suffer for his sake? How can you donate money to others if you can't even help yourself? But then the original poster replies and says, the thing is, they're not forcing her, it's influence, and
Hmm.
she is influenced by it. It's not taking a gun or knife to force her to give tithe, but an offering bag that is passed from person to person, or sermons that encourage to give by many channels and means within the church. She's obsessed, and she would rather have 10 objects of crosses and Bible verses hanging all over her house.
So yeah, it's a like I guess that gives context to like the church isn't manipulating or forcing.
Yeah,
It's just your
it's just
mom.
your
She's the
mom.
one.
It's hard to honestly. This one's hard. I don't know what you could say to her that will stop her from. Again, try to get someone who is around her age or older, who she respects and trusts. But also, maybe you just have to stop giving her money, which is sad to say. But she shouldn't even be loaning from anyone to give to church. But then
It's
she's
so
just gonna go to.
deep that
But then
she's
she,
back to work.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know with
Yeah.
this one. Someone said they won't stop until your mom won't stop until she has no money left to give. You can cut off funding and only provide basic necessities in the future when she's dry. And the OP says, I give to her by putting it in her retirement account. So she cannot find means of legal action to take against me for parental acts and would also have to draw monthly allowance when she's 65. But when she's 65, she can also withdraw another sum from the retirement account. I really hope she doesn't give it away as a tithe to the church. I can't bear to watch after learning the option available for her to let this the, to draw a huge sum. I cannot stop her from doing what she wants and dismayed there is no protection for the immediate kind based on her behavior. Yeah, there were a few spelling errors there that but basically he gives to her by putting it in her retirement fund. But
Hmm.
next year when she turns 65, she actually has a option to withdraw a lot from the fund, and
And
he's
give it to
scared that
church.
she's going to give it to church.
I think it's just one of those things. I think you
Yeah.
might just accept
Yeah.
and let it go. Honestly, it's
Yeah,
hard, but
it's hard.
it is.
Okay. Everyone, if you want to give your takes on these stories, we love hearing your opinions. On our Instagram page at Don't Go Broke Trying and on our Twitter at DGBT Pod, you will find all of these Coinfessions. So just respond to them, use the hashtag DGBT Pod and respond to them because we love hearing what your takes are on these because we are only two people. These are
Yeah.
our opinions, but we'd love to hear all of yours as well. Okay, next Coinfession. We have two more. This one's very short. Someone submitted it. Reni, I have a question for you. Do you believe in giving 10% of your income to the church? Ooh, this one's a good one. Actually, I do. I'm sure a lot of people will be surprised. I don't know, but I do. Every single time I get paid, 10% goes to God. And I've never thought of it as my money. Like I just don't even, it's not even like something that has ever occurred to me to not do. Yeah, and I do it cheerfully. I know in the last episode you said man because it's mandatory if you're feeling good, if you're feeling bad, then you'll be like begrudgingly giving it. But like honestly, I don't know. I don't even see it as my money. It's just like every single time I get paid, 10% is automatically going to God. So yeah, I do believe it. And you?
I believe in doing more than 10%.
Yeah, yeah,
10% is just the, what's it called?
minimum.
The minimum, the
Yeah.
starting. Like you can give so much more, so much more. Just in view of like understanding all that God has done for you. Like money loses its value when it comes to like the gift of like eternal life that God has given.
Hmm.
Absolutely loses its value. So like 10%. we're starting from there and we'll give more, because I'm sure you give more than 10%,
Yeah.
like, because by the time you factor in like offering and everything, like it adds up really
Yeah.
really
But
quick.
just the minimum. Like
Minimum, yeah.
that's the minimum that I give. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, some people say, do you tithe some I think someone asked me, do you tithe on your pre-tax income or your post-tax income? Because I'm self-employed, I tithe on my pre-tax income.
Mm-hmm.
But I know some people do post-tax. Honestly, again, it's supposed to be a cheerful
Mm-hmm.
giving. It's supposed to be out of the good, like your love for God. So tithe what you
Yeah.
want.
I know
Yeah.
what people do, like, especially because if you are not self employed and you work for an employer and they've already taken all the taxes away, they tax on their post tax income. But when they get their tax returns, they give a tithe on that as well.
Okay.
So that's also something like,
So you
because,
can.
yeah, that you can do as well. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last Coinfession. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one's very long. My theist relative gave a large sum of money to her church instead of saving it for retirement. Hello, I am an atheist and I live with a theist relative who is struggling to retire. This relative has never saved money for retirement and they should be retired by now. They recently received some money from an inheritance. It isn't enough money to retire off of, but it is more money than they ever had before. I recently found out that my relative has given her church around $20,000 in the last month. When I found out that she gave them tons of money, it completely blew my mind, and I still can't believe it. She constantly is complaining that she can't retire. I don't understand how she plans to ever retire when she's giving away so much money. She also has medical problems, which cause her to have a very difficult time working at her job. She hates her job and her bosses. She never tries to get medical help because she thinks that the pastor can heal her. Her church is constantly talking about money all the time. She used to go to a different church when I was younger, and when that church asked for money, they would just say, give what you can. The church that she currently goes to will sometimes tell people to give a specific amount of money. They tell people in the church that they have to give the church 25% of their earnings. The pastor will tell people that God and the church will be angry if they don't give the church enough money. This one time, her pastor said that if people don't give the church enough money, that the church may have to force everyone to bring in their tax returns so that the church could make sure they were giving them their 25% of their money. So my relative's church is making her feel obligated to give them tons of money instead of saving it. I know that this relative can do whatever they want with their own money, but I just wish they would be smarter about what they are spending it on. I am so stressed out all the time because I really want this relative to be able to retire, but they keep making things more difficult for themselves. I have been thinking a lot about this for the past month, and it just constantly makes me so sad for my relative. I feel like my relative has been completely brainwashed by her church, and I am hopeless to help her. I can't really do anything myself because I have numerous issues of my own. My entire life, I've had issues with social anxiety, depression, and OCD. I have never been able to get a job, and I'm even scared to look for one. I never leave the house, and I have no one to talk to. I want to help my relative, but I also want to go out and live on my own, and have my own life. All of that just seems so impossible, though. I try to talk sense into her sometimes, but they never listen to me. They always side with the church instead. I guess that I'm just posting all of this because I want to get it off my chest. I've never spoken with other atheists before. Thanks. So my question is, my theist relative gave a large sum of money to her church instead of saving it for retirement. What should I do? And by the way, everyone, this is from r/atheism, that subreddit.
Oh, that's a very, very, very loaded,
Yeah,
loaded
that was a long
one.
one.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you should know that God is not angry with anybody, like, let alone angry because they're not giving money.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like, God does, like, there's no money where God is. Like, money is not a currency that God responds to or interacts with. So, it's quite unfortunate that your relative or the relative in question feels like they need to keep paying to appease God. That is not a hallmark of the Christian God. It
Mm-mm.
has never been, it would never be. What we see in Jesus Christ is quite the opposite. He gave his life, he gave all he had, so that we can have and we can be free. So it's not, it's
They're taking advantage.
Yeah, they're taking, honestly,
Yeah.
like,
The church
even
is
somehow sounds illegal that they're going to ask people to bring their tax returns.
like when I saw that, I was like, wait,
that is intense.
your tax return, and they said 25% of your income. I would I would tell your relative to question them, But in this situation, what are they gonna say? What are they really gonna say? Where in the Bible does it say that you must get 25% of my
The
income?
relative is not going to question.
Yeah.
Just because once you're in that kind of environment, like many times, human beings, we think we are not sheeps, but we're really sheeps.
Yo, I was listening to this podcast, everyone. That I think everyone should listen to. It's called Sounds Like a Cult, and basically they basically was saying how easy it is to like get into sheep like culture and get into a cult. And yeah, as you said, everyone thinks, oh yeah, I'm a free thinker, but
No,
the majority,
there's nothing free thinking about
yeah,
you.
like my friend even says, you sound like a Twitter timeline right now. That's what he says, because he's like, everything you're saying is just because you're regurgitating
Yeah.
what you've heard. So it's same thing here. It's like
Yeah.
you're just repeating.
So that
Yeah.
idea of like telling her to ask questions, like, no, why would you want to
Yeah.
ask in that kind of environment where
true.
everybody's doing the same thing? It's you that you're from the outside that you feel like I can ask questions. But if she's in a environment where asking questions are not encouraged, is whatever you're told you do, and all of that, which is not ideally what the setting of a church should be like. We see in the Bible, people ask Jesus questions all the time. I mean, it might not be in the context of a Sunday service, but like there would be like little meetings where we can ask questions. Why do we do certain things? And like, for example, in my local church, we don't share the grace, right? In some churches they do. Like, it's just asking questions like, why do we do this? And why do we do that? And why do we do this? But it's not open culture for like a lot of like church gatherings. And yeah, that specific church is not doing what the Bible asks them to do. And it's quite unfortunate that she cannot retire because of all these things. I
What advice would you give for him?
For him, I just because of all the problems he lists, I think the first thing I want him to know is that Jesus loves him, right? I know it's difficult going through all these hard things and all, but Jesus loves him, and like the love of God can really transform and change things and change his life. And like if he's willing, he should open his heart up to Jesus and all that God can do for him, right? God can change his life, his experience. I know he said he can't work right now, but when he opens his heart to the love of God, all those things, right, God can really walk through him to heal him and make him whole. And I also believe in the supernatural healing of God. I believe that God can also heal his relative, right? And also, I thought that was interesting. God isn't against like modern medicine or anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that point.
Yeah, God isn't against, like, God and modern medicine are not at loggerhead.
God created like
medicine, like it came from him, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that Christians should be open, right? Our faith doesn't stop us from using medication. The only thing that our faith encourages us is to trust in God more than in the power of medicine, even as we use the medicine, right?
So yeah, I feel like there's so many problems
here. Yeah, like it's like I'm just thinking like there's so many angles, but I guess we'll just go back to this major question: how can he help his auntie?
Yeah. Honestly, like at this, I feel like some people are just like too far gone. It's like $20,000 in a month that you're giving, and that's your whole basically your inheritance that you've got, and you're almost at retirement age. It's not like you're my age where if I give 20,000, I can make that back. You're supposed to be retiring soon,
and it's hard because the person is like atheist, so like whatever you're saying is probably like you don't even know what you're
like. Oh, this is coming from the devil.
Like you don't even know what you're talking about. So I wish the person was saved, because then they'll be able to like open the Bible together and be like, okay, your church is asking you for 25%. Let's open the Bible and find examples of when people gave. Like there was no compulsion, there was no force and everything. So maybe find someone I was gonna say, their family.
Maybe same thing as we said in the other two. You have to find someone who they respect, who's also Christian, who has more sense, and is able to talk to them and be like, yo, let's examine what you're doing, and does this make sense? But again, you can't say these things, but will they take it on is the actual question.
I guess like the whole questions and everything they were saying, it's just so hurtful for me to like see it. Like God doesn't want anybody to be be under compulsion or burden when it comes to like giving. And I hate that people get that impression or that pressure when they go to church. Like there's more to you than your finances. Like
Facts.
there's more to you in the sight of God than the money you have to offer. Trust me. Like
Mm-hmm.
you are the apple of God's eyes. Like it's so important for you to know this. And I guess what we'll just keep doing is just to keep praying for the church of God that they go back to the biblical ways
Yeah.
of doing things, and people don't feel like they're like the Bible tells us that God has given us freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like these questions we're asking, like a lot of people feel like they're under the yoke
Duress.
of
Yeah.
burden and like captivity when God
Mm-hmm.
has freed us, especially because of money, something
Yeah.
that doesn't have like eternal value, like something that would pass away
I know. It's
eventually.
really sad to see. I feel like these churches are giving a bad name to Christianity. And then
Yeah.
people like the atheists reading this are gonna be like, oh yeah, this is the problem with Christians, you know? But this is not like representative of
It's
Christ at all.
not. It's not.
Let's read a few questions. Let's
Okay.
take into just remember that this is the atheist subreddit, so
Yeah.
the the responses are from atheists. Okay.
Brace myself.
Yeah. Someone said they're in too deep. Don't go down with the ship. Get out of there. Okay, I hear that one because it's like, yeah, they are in way too deep, and it's either you're gonna keep going down. Well, you're not really on the ship, but I think are they? If I understand correctly, they live with this
I
person.
think so.
Yeah,
Something like
so
that.
it does impact them actually,
Hmm.
especially because you can't work yourself. But okay, their response was, I would love to be able to live elsewhere, but it's very difficult for me. I had very bad issues with social anxiety, depression, and OCD my entire life. My issues have made it almost impossible for me to get a job. I never leave my house. I never talk to anybody. I'm too scared to go for a job interview or go talk to doctors. I tried going for a job interview a long time ago, but I did horribly in them. In two of my interviews that I went to, my anxiety got so bad that I felt like I was going to pass out. I want to get away, but I feel like I'm completely stuck here.
Can they get like an online job, like a virtual something? I don't
But I
know.
think they still need an interview for
Oh,
it.
true, true,
Yeah.
true,
I
true,
think,
true.
yeah, we can't really help. We're not medical professionals.
Professional.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking from like the part of like inclusivity, right? Because a lot of people that like not neurodivergent that might not really do well in like interviews and all, but it's not really like an indication of like if they'll be able to like be successful at the role, and that just breaks my heart. But that's like my thinking. I used to work like in the autism charity
Oh, okay.
sector, so that's just like that side of my brain is just coming up because I do feel sorry for them because
Yeah.
everybody should be able to like
Yeah.
do something that provides for them. But anyway, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. Someone else said, this is what I hate. I'm a traveling nursing assistant, and the horrendous, downright sad situations I see people who didn't save enough money during their lives have to live in, while the multi-million dollar facilities are filled with preachers or their wives, all funded and paid by the earnings from the church. Again, I and
That's an assumption though.
yeah, they're actually quoting Joel Osteen.
Yeah, she free Joe Austin.
I don't even know much about him, but I've heard stuff. I don't know much about
Yeah.
him. Any others? Yeah, they're all basically saying the same thing. Oh, someone said this is elder abuse by the church. I would agree with that
You know, I was
comment.
thinking about it. I was like, is there a way that the authorities can be gotten involved? I don't know if how a case would be
Yeah.
built because I'm not in law enforcement, but I think I remember when you're reading, my brain was just thinking police, police, but
Yeah.
like I don't know how that would work, and then because at the end of the day, she's freely giving it. Like no
Yeah.
one is putting a
And
gun to
like
her head or anything.
it's hard to go take the police into somewhere and then the person's like, I'm not being abused. Like I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm giving
I'm
this
happy.
willingly. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very hard. I watched like this documentary about some cult. Same thing. It's giving cult vibes, just by the way. But I watched this documentary and same thing. Like the police can't really do anything because the people are like, yeah, like we love it here.
we're
Yeah.
happy.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So,
Well, hopefully again you take our advice and go and talk to somebody who is Christian who can talk to her on your behalf and just voice. But again, they also have social anxiety talking to people. So maybe write a note to
no, a
somebody.
letter, an
Yeah.
email, something.
Something. Yeah. But yeah, those are all the confessions that we have today. I feel like it ended on kind of a sad note,
Yeah.
but hopefully this was helpful to anybody who may have a similar situation to any of the ones that we read out today. Thank you, Bibi, for coming on the
Thank
podcast.
you.
I really do appreciate it. If you want people to find you, where can they find you?
You can find me online. You can Google me or check any of the social media platforms. My handle is Bibi Lamo 04, or you can just search my full name, Bibi Babatunde Ikotun, and you would see my beautiful face pop up. So,
Yes, we
yeah.
love to see it. And she also has a new affirmations.
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I recently just launched a new Christian daily affirmation booklet, and what it is filled with biblical affirmations to just help you get grounded and rooted in your faith, give you hope, comfort, encourage you. And it's available on Amazon. If you want to find it, just search my name on any of your Amazon, BB Babatunde Ikotun. It would pop up and you can purchase it. Just don't forget to leave a review. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, BB. Thank you all for listening. If you like this episode, please make sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. Like this if you're watching on YouTube, share on your story and tag me, BB, and the podcast. Talk to us on Twitter. Literally anything you can do to show that you like this podcast. We would really appreciate it. It does help the podcast. And we know that you like these episodes and then we keep making more of them. So I really appreciate you for listening to this episode and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.